I'll play loud in case you want to say anything. But... Oh, my wife and I went on an ocean cruise. 3 days out and I was sick down to my shoes. And to make it more forlorn, we sailed into a raging storm. Hit a sandbar and got stuck right in the ooze. Where were you when the ship hit the sand? I said I was out there praying for dry land, with my water wings held tightly in my hand. Where were you when the ship...
Well, good morning, everyone. We have made it to another Saturday here on Let's Talk Oconee SC, and it's eerily quiet in the studio. Where's Chris at?
Finally, he's on vacation.
Hallelujah! That deserves a siren.
I'm doing it, brother!
And there's video evidence to prove that Rainey touched the siren.
It's mine now. I got the monkeypox on it.
I wonder if he took Woodruff Road.
He turned left and missed it, Woodruff Road.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, well, good morning, everyone. Welcome in. It is Jazzy Jeff here, of course. We've got Chris Ruin on vacation. He's actually on a top secret mission for the OCC. And we've got...
Blue.
Yeah. He's our inside correspondent from last night, if he makes it out alive. But Rainey Bond, and we got Kathy with us here on the program this morning. And where do we begin?
I tell you what.
What does 16-1 mean?
Bye. Gone.
This week has been filled with so much news and information that it's kind of like an overload. Now, coming up here later in our program, get ready because I've got an interview scheduled right after we do all this wonderful stuff. We're going to actually sit down and have an interview with Julian Davis, who is a representative of Oconee County Council District 4. And the information that Julian is going to let you know about is probably going to flip some people in the OCC because remember, they said that your taxes were all going to go up, right? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, taxes are going sky high. We got to get rid of everybody and put our people in there. Well, I got some news for you. Taxes are actually heading lower, and I'm talking the millage is even heading to the record of the lowest millage decrease ever in Oconee County history. So Julian Davis is going to tell us a little bit about that coming up when we sit down with him. But first of all, Thursday night, there was some fireworks in Oconee County. And Rainey, I'm going to let it start off with you.
Well, I tell you what, there was a big Republican hootenanny going on out there at the Ebenezer Community Center. And
that's in the back door of Mr. McMahon's office, isn't it, where he lives?
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, some people said they saw him driving away from town, or away from there toward town on their way to the meeting.
Oh, gotcha.
So I don't know what sickness that he might have had, but it didn't seem like it was keeping him at home.
Oh, gotcha.
So, but yeah, there was 17 of the committee.
This is the executive committee.
Right, 17 of the executive committee members came out there to finish some old business that they didn't allow at the last one.
Mm-hmm.
And 16-1, the executive committee voted to ask him to resign. But that's not all they did. They voted to take away his authority, his financial responsibility, and any other things that he might control for the foreseeable future, and transfer those to Jim Mann. That's kind of scary, taking them from one person and giving them to another person. So I think that there's going to be another meeting next week to reestablish the control that the executive committee has over the party, where that committee, as per state rules, runs the party, and not the chairman and his cronies.
Okay, now I'm glad you brought that up. There is a couple of things that have been posted by a certain person stating the total polar opposite. that the chairman runs the party and not the exec. Now, explain all of that. I mean,
Well-
explain that.
Well, really, Jeff, reading is fundamental,
It's a fundamental,
and
right?
and comprehension
Is
of what you read.
Well, you would think that's
is
right,
mostly a superpower with some people.
right.
And if you read the bylaws, which are so poorly written, you can't tell who has the power. But if you read the state GOP rules, it's very clear that the executive committee is the governing body of the local party.
So basically, what we're saying is we have a board of directors. I'm going to say this is like corporate, in a corporate world. We have a board of directors, and then we have the chairman of that board. Okay, so the chairman responsibility is leadership, which is a key word, leadership.
Right.
Notice I said leadership. So the chairman is supposed to lead that corporation or that company to be governed by the who? The board of who?
The board of directors.
Okay, so executive committee technically is the board of directors, and he's the chairman that's supposed to lead the organization with leadership. That's what.
Correct.
Kathy, you agree?
That sounds correct. To me.
Okay.
Well,
go
so
ahead.
back in the day here in the county, you had an elected superintendent, right?
We had
And not a council.
Well, we had a super. Here's what we did. When home rule came into effect in 1976, prior to that, the legislative delegation met to pay the bills. Okay, we didn't have a county council. We did have a supervisor, but when home rule came into effect, we chose supervisor council form of government, where pretty much the power, believe it or not, was more invested into the supervisor than the county council. So that's the way that Oconee ran from 1976 all the way up until around 1992 or 93.
Well, let me ask
It
you,
was
how did that
changing.
work out?
In the first 5 or 10 years, it worked out great because we didn't have anything. Okay, we didn't have people. Nobody was moving in here. And all of a sudden, there in the mid to late 80s, we did have the influx of business start moving in. Then we did have residents moving in that were buying up lake property, which, modern day Kiwi Key really spun out around the 1980s and progressed. So we had things like that was working well. But as more people got here, it didn't work too well. So it worked fine for about 5 or 6 years, and then things started changing. But also at the same time, you had the landscape of the political of Oconee County change. You go from staunch Democrat, and you have a wave that changes into Republican. You have people that were Democrats for 30 or 40 years all of a sudden jumping on the Republican bandwagon because, you had the red wave nationally. In the 92, 93, it all happened.
Well, that's not where I wanted this to go. It was a great history lesson, but what I wanted really
No, it didn't work.
to let people know is it doesn't work when there's only one person in charge.
That's right.
Who gets to pick everybody else that works for them. And the state rules for the party say that the executive committee can pick its own officers. So
does that mean that you can pick treasurer and secretary?
that's right. That's what needs to happen, and I think that's what's going to happen at the next meeting. Is we're going to vote on who should be the treasurer and who should be the secretary, and there's no way that the district director shouldn't be voted on from amongst their peers and not appointed. So that way, if they're elected to that position, they can't just be fired anytime that Napoleon doesn't like them anymore.
Let me ask this. Is this happening all over South Carolina, or is this just in Oconee?
No, it's happening in a couple of other places.
Okay.
And if you read that email or post or whatever it's going out about that crazy QAnon lady who said she was being conspired against or whatever by the South Carolina GOP, so she went ahead.
Yeah.
She went ahead and her and the rest of her, Gestapo folks went ahead and resigned because oh my gosh, they're after us. They left.
Yeah.
I would go ahead and encourage anybody that felt that way in our party to leave too.
Well, what does it sound like to you? And this is what we were talking about earlier. It kind of is reminiscent of. Do you remember the Tea Party that came about several years ago?
I don't think the Tea Party was this bad. I really don't.
I think that the Tea Party movement, I found myself in my Navy uniform at a Tea Party rally, and I didn't mean to be there. And I was on TV and everything. I had went to pay a speeding ticket, and these folks were outside the courthouse in San Angelo, Texas. That B-boy lived in San Angelo, Texas for a long time.
Did you have your chains attached to your truck?
Well, yeah,
Okay, good.
most of the time.
Yeah.
But I lost my trailer in a divorce, not on the highway.
Oh, so you play country music backwards.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But anyways, I walked out of the courthouse, and there's this group of people, and they got these American flags, and they got the snake flags and everything. And I'm like, man, what's going on over there? Well, then they had a San Angelo Live is the name of their online newspaper.
Mhm.
It's not. It started out like the True News, the Beacon thing,
Oh.
except it actually was successful.
Oh, yeah, very successful.
And anyways, that guy got a picture of me in my daggone uniform and went all over the place. But I didn't even know what I had. I didn't know. I was just in the wrong place at the right time. Got educated really quick. But the Tea Party and the OCC movement that's going on right now in our county are not the same.
No, they're not.
The people that were involved in the Tea Party 15 years ago were decent, legitimate people that wanted to make change in the Republican Party, and they did. They did a real good job. But this OCC stuff is all about personal vendettas and getting back at folks and just being mean.
Well,
mean. That's what they are.
I'm glad that you said the mean part of it, because we all know from the moment that I announced that I was going to run for county council, which was February, the last day in February, up until I lost the primary, it's amazing how many times I was attacked by only 2 or 3 people from that OCC.
Right.
Well, really,
And-
ain't that many people
But wait a minute.
in that thing.
I know, but let me finish, because one of the people that attacked me accused me of blocking people on my Facebook page, and yes, I did. I blocked him. I had no business. I did not want to see his hate. I did not want to see his venom and him spewing it all over the place, and that's referring to you know who, Perry Smith.
Well,
But
he
you know
didn't-
something, what he did last night? Let me just tell you, Thursday night. He's blocking people now. Doing the same thing that he accused me of. Because somebody just legitimately wanted to ask a question.
Well, that's kind of the Democrat playbook, isn't it? I mean,
I don't even think at this point that's even in the Democratic playbook.
But-
Not locally. Not local local Democrats. That's
So-
not in the playbook.
Can you do that if you are running for office?
Yes, you can.
You can.
There
you can
was a
block people.
court. Yes, you can. Now, here's where the law changes. When you are elected and you are a representative of the people, the law changes. It's a public forum. Prior to that, you can. My problem is I don't want people spewing hate and venom, and that's all he was doing. I mean, look, we talked about Luis Gonzalez. We know who Luis Gonzalez is, and now we've got Walt.
Walt Washburn,
Yeah,
Matt,
hey, Walt.
we know.
Yeah, we know. I mean, these people don't understand that we are already ahead of the game. Technology is a wonderful thing. They don't realize that they're doing this stuff, but in the world of technology, you can find out anything on anybody and anyone. And
Right.
we know what's going on.
Well, hey, before we digress completely away from the success from last night, the Republican Party in Oconee County hit rock bottom last night.
It did. And it's sad that it did that.
But when it hit, it turned. And there was probably 50 people in there. And every one of those folks had a different disposition about them. They were all happy. They're all ready to move forward and do great things in the county and at the state level and at the national level. That's the dynamic of that meeting, when everybody was able to vote their heart and say what they felt without being ridiculed, bossed, bullied, given the stink eye, whatever. They were able to express themselves, and it was a wonderful time to see that. And I was glad that the paper was there to experience it firsthand. And it would have been really nice if some of those folks from the KGB would have been there to experience it too.
Well, you think they talk a big game that they're for the people, and if they wanted to fight and stand up, why were they not there last night?
Well, they were probably out saving the world.
No, I know they're getting ready for a campaign. They were working on that campaign kickoff. That's what it was.
Do you think that it's going to kick off? I mean, I saw
sure.
saw a couple posts that it had 8 likes and 2 shares.
Sure, it's going to kick off.
But when Mr. Elliott had his thing there at Vangelis, is that how you say that?
Well, we had Vangelis down here in Sunnacant, Ramcat Alley, right?
He paid for the hors d'oeuvres and the alcohol. Mm-hmm. If you read over at Pub Blue, you got to buy your own.
Yeah.
And what the heck kind of party's that? I mean, it was one thing to be conservative. It's another thing to be a poop hole. I mean, y'all come out and support me, and I'm not going to do anything for you. And that's exactly what's going to happen at the State House.
No, here's the deal.
He's not going to work.
Here's the deal.
You ever see that Joe Biden thing where the worker says, Joe Biden, you work for me. And he said, I don't work for you. Remember that when Perry gets to the State House.
No.
And he's going to stand strong, and he's not going to change, and he's not going to compromise. He's not there for you. He's there for himself.
Well, I think that's interesting too. What kind of representation are you going to get when they're going to go? And I take issue with one of our representatives now who says they vote their conscience. Not they took a poll and they voted how the constituents asked them to vote, but they vote their conscience. They vote how they want to. And that's what he says he's going to do. I'm going to vote 100% conservative 100% of the time. I'm going to vote pretty much how I want to. I'm not going to come talk to you guys and vote how I want to. Who wants representation like that?
That's a problem now.
That's a problem now.
Because we have forgot we the people.
Exactly.
That the point of it is when you start we the people in order for more perfect union established, it's we the people, not I, me. And I kept that through my whole campaign. It was about the people. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're a Republican. And I have views on certain things, but I have to listen to what the people say because I'm representing people. What's going on right now is just an absolute shame. It's a slap into politics. It's a slap, period, because here we go. We have someone that is an officer in the Republican Party that we already have the representative that by rights took everything. He's won. He's on the ballot, and that's referring to Bill Sanford. Here we go, November. But yet, what part of this Republican Party do we have in this county that actually supports the legitimate candidate? Legitimate. Because one, there's 2 people with a picture. That's not they're supporting a person that is not a legitimate candidate.
Well, in the Republican rules, the real Republican rules at the state level, Rule 15 says that if you're going to run against the party, you cannot hold an office in the party. So
okay, that's plain as day.
Plain as day.
Okay.
So I'll put Perry Smith on notice right now. You are not the president of the Oconee precinct because you are running against the party. You nullified everything.
But here comes the opposite side of the OCC. Well, that's not what it says.
Well, it sure pop does, and if you could read, that is exactly what you get from it.
I mean, when you try to read something and it's plain as black and white on a piece of paper,
so,
they're above the law.
But
We've said this. They're above the law. They operate in a whole different parallel.
And here's the thing.
Rules don't apply.
They don't apply to them.
And Rule 16, the Code of Conduct, says that if you hold an office, you're a delegate, you're an alternate or anything, secretary, treasurer, any of those things, and you're hollering out the truck window at somebody not to be putting signs in the yard where they're at. Well,
or what about somebody that steps upon somebody's private property?
But here's the thing. When you do that, your position shall be immediately vacated. So now we got to find a new secretary for the Republican Party.
And we have that. There's a picture.
Right.
I mean, they put a picture, both of them together, driving around, putting these signs out.
Right.
So in the
what about if you display a sign in your yard? I mean, what if you're displaying a sign in your yard and
Well, let's just say that you're an actual candidate that won a primary and you put the sign out in your yard. You're right.
what if you're putting the sign in your yard and yeah.
I took an oath. I took a pledge and an oath when I agreed to run, and I believe in holding those privileges as far as the oath that I took.
Right.
And in the oath it says, if I lose, I lose. Mm-hmm. I can't come back around and run as a write-in candidate. That is specifically black and white. So I abide by those rules. But again, it comes to the top. Here we go. They're above the law.
But now, Jeff, here's the thing. In Rule 16 of the party rules, it says that the state party and the local party can waive Rule 16 if they so choose. So they can vote to waive that and suspend that. Now, if they do, see, that would open up something that Republicans in the party could run you as a write-in candidate against Don Mize if they suspend the rules. Either all those folks have to give up their positions in the party until the next reorg, not till just after the election, but until the next reorg, or they open it up and they let those elitists from over to the lake that love you so much at your radio station run you as a write-in candidate. Now, I don't think that many people would vote and write you in because a lot of folks are straight ticket Republicans.
That's right.
Right?
That's correct.
But the ones that did would put Don Mize at odds with the Democrat candidate and lower his numbers. Mm-hmm. And he only beat you by 18 points.
18 votes.
And that lady that wrote into the show was talking about they're getting ready for November 8th here in the county. Well, I would not be surprised with everything that's going on in the Republican Party that they didn't slip in there and run somebody against him as a write-in. And now you've got a three-way deal going on. Don Mize loses and there's a Democrat on the board.
And I thought it was that we're all supposed to get behind all the Republicans.
But because
legitimate people that did it the legitimate way.
Because Matt Perry Smith, Matt Durham, David McMahon want to do things their own way and not follow the rules.
And again,
now you look at Durham is suspended, McMahon has been asked to resign, and now Perry's going to lose to Sandiford and cause Don Mize to lose county council. Way to go, bud. Way to go.
And it's just a circle. It's
just because they want to be, somebody said that they think that one or two of them guys are so smart that they're stupid. Mm-hmm. And I believe that.
I do. All the while, I've never seen our Republican Party in this county in such shambles. And I hope that last night, Rainey and Kathy, I hope last night was the first step in fixing and cleaning up, and come reorg in April, I hope people remember this, because this should not have ever happened. We should all be on the same page, regardless of where we come, where we go, because at the end of the day, this is local people. And I keep hearing one person's, this is a travesty for Oconee County. Well, yeah, it's a travesty for the crap that I've had to put up with, and legitimate people that did it the right way that's had to put up with it.
Yeah. Well, I got to say about last night's meeting, Jim Mann did a wonderful job. I mean, he didn't vote. He ran the meeting professionally.
I thought so, too.
He had great decorum. It was efficient. There was no yelling. There was no hollering. Everybody got an opportunity to talk. That nobody talked ill of each. Well, there's one woman that tried to holler at me. But she's,
you destroyed it. It's your fault.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I'm going to destroy is that OCC and I'll tell you why. Because I believe, just like Chris does, there is no room for that kind of hate in the Golden Corner.
There's not. There's not.
And what good has it done?
Nothing.
I mean, seriously, what good has it done? And
It's destroyed friendships. It's destroyed
families. It's destroyed people, co-workers. You're being forced to have to take a side when you should be your own person.
And I'll put this to you seriously. The the conservative part of it, they keep saying it's a conservative Christian movement. No, no. I know. I was brought up in a conservative Christian home, conservative Christian family. No, it does not tick those boxes at all.
A conservative Christian extends a hand of fellowship to no matter who it is. If you're trying to be a Christian and you're trying to do the right things, then you're always handing a hand to help someone, be involved in the community, work together to solve problems. If you claim that you're a conservative Christian, that's not conservative Christian. When you make a video and you say, I'm a Christian, but now I might cuss a little bit, but I can show you the way to heaven. I don't want to go to your heaven. I really don't. And that's the mentality of what we have.
When you're tearing down everybody on the county council, when you're tearing down everybody on the planning commission, and I take issue with somebody, and I'm partial because I think a lot of Pat Williams, but he's a good man. He is a conservative Christian, and he tries to do what's right for the county.
That's right.
He tries to do what's right for other farmers and tries to look out for people. And when you try to tear down somebody like that, I take issue with you, and I take issue with you saying that you're conservative, because how can you have that in one hand and be doing this with another?
Right. Well, I've traveled all over the world when I was in the Navy, and I've met a lot of people from a lot of walks of life. And there's 4,970 some different religions in the world. Unfortunately, it's like 4,182 of them are Christians that can't get along with one another and follow Christ. But I, honest to goodness, I would rather spend time with a pleasant atheist or a Buddhist than I would a hateful Christian any day.
Well, and absolutely, and that's the other thing. You got these people running for office or in office, and they say these things, and we've got 70,000 people in this county, and lots of people moving from other places. Not everybody's going to be Christian. You got to be a little open-minded and represent all these people. But
then again, here's another thing: is you don't know who's Christian and who's not. Do you know that the Gideon people, they give out the Bibles, they print Bibles in like 190 languages. Mm-hmm. So you can't just walk around and say, "Oh, look, she's white, she's probably Christian," right? Or, "Oh, look, that brown fella, he ain't from this country. We don't want him part of us."
Well, the chairman made the statement in a video of the Republican Party that there was only one that was really a Christian, when he was referring to Kay Knapp. Do you remember that?
Well, yeah, but that's
and none of us else were, so he doesn't know anything about me.
But here's the thing is, she put in the paper early on she was inspired by Matt Durham.
I know.
So I don't know who they think Christ is, but I'm here to tell you it's not Matt Durham.
No, it's not Matt, it's not Perry, it's not David, it's not any of those.
But those folks really believe that, and oh my goodness, I don't know how I forgot to bring this up. Miss Jennifer Moore, the first elected vice chairman of the party, came last night, and the things she said were so spot on about how the OCC trashed people and they've got databases full of things on people. She said that she was appalled and surprised by the way they acted. She thought that once they got into the party, that they were going to meld with the party and be a part of it and not take it over and try to run it. And then she ran out of time. So I yielded my time. Can you believe that? I gave up my time to talk. Right? I gave up my time to talk so that she could finish what she had to say. But it was, it's people like her that have left that OCC garbage behind and really come out to make amends with the party that made last night so special. And the direction the party's going to go now, even if Matt Mahan does not resign, he's got an office on the 10th floor with a window and no phone. So stay up there and stay out of the way.
Well, Mr.
and let us win for the county.
Well, Mr. Wagner made a comment in the Journal this morning in Riley Morning Star's news story, and I really loved it. You know, he said McMahon never done anything to him, but he was tired of reading the emails. He said that this morning in a comment. John Wagner, he was tired of reading the emails, and the leadership, his quote was, leadership, it goes to the top. And he's right. It does go to the top.
But the thing is, even on the eve of this vote, McMahon was still sending text messages to folks.
And they were sending emails.
And
because
emails.
I was sent a copy of the emails that they sent last night.
But they still sending this stuff around. But threatening text messages. You won't be my buddy no more. Or you know, look how this has affected our lifelong friendship, whatever. But, you know, and then 16-1. There was only 28 precincts.
31.
No, there's 31, but there aren't 31 organized. With the amount of fallout from and destruction from since the reorg, those folks that came out, that any reasonable person who has logic, morals, compassion for other people have left. They really have. They've gotten out of it. You know, there's only a few of us that are sticking it out, trying to fix it. But most people know that the Republican Party is just that. It's a social club, and why stick around for that when they got the rest of their life to live? I mean, there's that one preacher fella from Westminster that, I mean, I thought, man, he's going to be great to have. And as soon as that Matt Durham stuff come out about it, he's like, man, I'm out of here. And so many people took off right after that ongoing scandal, I guess. First took over the party. They left. You know,
Well, they don't want to be associated with it. And when you have
and then
you have leadership that's saying that it's not happening and that it's a lie.
It's
and
a conspiracy.
Everybody else is
QAnon.
Everybody else is wrong, and we're being.
Did that give you chills? It gave me chills.
Yeah, I'm scared.
Everybody else
I'm waiting for the
is
helicopters
wrong.
to land
Everybody's
in the
doing
parking
this
lot.
to us. Then that's when everybody else checks out. They're like, no, this is wrong.
And I think you just said it, checked out. And I think that's what's wrong with this whole country is because the working people and the middle of the road people, they're tired. We are absolutely tired of having to put up with crap not only here locally, but we have to hear it nationally when the world around us is going to hell and we have these government leaders making these stupid damn decisions that really affect the middle of the road people. People are tired.
But they are, and I think that's why people just don't even bother.
They don't go vote anymore.
They don't go vote because, and like District 2, they have no representation. We look at the little petition that somebody put up and says we've got no.
The petition to ask the disgraced, suspended Matt Durham to resign.
Right.
Yeah.
That petition has more signers than any of Perry Smith's stuff. So I don't believe he's got really a chance to win.
But still, there are 15,000 people in District 2.
I don't care.
Over 15,000 people. And if you look at like how many people actually vote, come out, it's just sad. Nobody even, and I bet you none of the people even know who Matt Durham is.
They don't.
They don't know who he is. They don't know what's going on. They don't know he's suspended. They don't know he's their representative.
But thing is,
they don't care.
They don't care because life in the
because
Golden
they
Corner
think their
is
vote,
great.
They think their vote doesn't matter. They think even if they did vote, that it's not going to make any difference whatsoever.
Rainey just said it though. Their life is their life is great. So if my life is great, why do I need to get involved in politics?
Well,
why do I need to get involved in voting?
Well,
because everything's great around me.
Everything's growing here. Everything's getting better, and the taxes are going down. Why am I going to go down there and mess with the county council? Do we go down there and screw it up? They don't want to do that.
Well, I just want to make sure in the next interview that you're about to hear from Julian Davis, Julian, we've got facts. It's up on the screen. You'll be able to see it. You'll be able to look for yourself. I mean, these are facts that this has had to happen. They were responsible, the three. Okay? The three. And that is Julian, That is John and that is Paul. They set the tone 5 years ago to try to right the ship of where things were going in Oconee County. And they did. But I want to make sure that people understand. You better not give that damn OCC credit for this. They didn't they had not one damn thing to do with us going down in millage. Not one damn thing did they have to do.
No, they didn't, because SLED came in and created a conspiracy to keep him from voting on the budget.
That's right, and it goes to the top. It's the governor's fault. It's everybody else's damn fault.
Hey, can we take a break from?
Yeah, we got to take
a
break.
No. Before we get to the break, though,
Yeah.
I want to take a break from bashing the OCC. And
Well, we've done a
talking
good job of that today.
Talk about the Republican stuff, but I got a nonpartisan event that I want to talk about.
Sure.
Two of them. I talked about it last week. But the Citizens for Childhood Education in Oconee County, nonpartisan group, great people. I've talked and met a bunch of them last night.
Is this Teresa?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. And
I was thankful to hear that she started this working on this not for profit.
Right. And well, so they've got an event on the 24th. It's a meet and greet with the school board candidates. It's from 10 to 11 in the morning. And it'll be held at the Kiwi Key Event Center. And that's on Country Club Road, Salem, South Carolina, 29676. If you live outside of the Kiwi Key, like most of us,
Southgate?
use Southgate. They'll be able to check you in. Now, the second thing I want to talk about real quick, Jim Mann and the school board. On September 12th, the school board had their working meeting.
It was a work session.
Work session. Right. Well, it's taped and you can watch it. You just can't go there and speak. But from minute 41 to 49, they've got Mr. Thorsland is talking about the event and what they've done since then. They're creating a website. They're praising themselves, patting themselves on the back, really happy about this. I don't know what the website does, but it's not going to tell us who wrote the song or what's happened to them since. But it talked about how there's a place for everyone to go and see the policies that are in place and how they make decisions. And I guess that's okay. But
And you said, what was it?
Minute 41 to 49 is where he's talking about that. But Jim Mann is going to go back and he's going to ask them again to answer his questions as September 19th. He's going to represent us all. Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. Jim Mann just cares about their children and their teachers. And he's asking us to talk about it here and encourage all the parents that are worried about their children to come out and be a part of that school board meeting.
Well, we need to know if they followed state protocol, not what they felt like doing, but
Well,
if they followed the state protocol, because there is state protocol.
Yeah,
And-
I'm sure there is, but they also, too, have board policies. And that'd be a good thing for us maybe in a week. I'd like to research that. What is the board policy? Because there's so many things happening right now within the school district far as discipline issues. It seems like to me, and I'm just looking on the outside, that every case is all different. There's no set standard protocol. Depending on who you are and what you did, you know, some people are getting suspended for 3 or 4 days for what I would consider a minor infraction, but yet something as such as big as what happened with Wahal Middle School, you know, nothing really happened. Guys, we are slammed here. We have to go to a break.
I got one more thing. Chris is on vacation.
Yeah.
Or where he's hiding at Pub Blue.
He's hiding Pub Blue.
But anyway, he asked me to ask folks last night what they thought about him on the radio show. And this one guy said that if he'd ever be on that radio show with us, that he was going to give a shout out to all the Confederate veterans that were ever prisoners of war. He said, because if he had to be in this room with that Yankee for an hour, he think he'd give him a 10-finger necktie. And he don't know how. He does not know how that those Confederate soldiers did it for a year. Now, that's what the guy said. I was like, well, man, alive, Chris. You're making a lot of friends
Is
out
Chris
there.
a Yankee?
Is Chris a Yankee?
I don't think Chris is a Yankee.
Well, he certainly sounds like it.
I don't think he's a Yankee.
His wife is from South Carolina.
Wife from South Carolina, but I actually...
I'm pretty sure that...
I think he's a Midwesterner.
Yeah, he's a
y'all.
Midwestern. There's a big
Isn't he
difference.
from, like, well,
That's a big difference.
San Francisco, right? Woo! We love you, Chris.
As we go to break in the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
What's that damn?
Gonna get a geography book.
Watch
here.
that damn. All right, coming up next, it's Julian Davis with some exciting news. The millage is going down. Details coming up next.
See y'all next week.
Yes. Oh, by the way, we do need to say bye because it's over. Our segment's done.
Bye-bye.
Say bye, Rainey.
Hey, we'll see you guys. Douches.
Douches.
With a load of iron ore, 26,000 tons more than the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Welcome back to this segment here of Let's Talk Oconee SC. We're joined with County Councilman, District 4, Julian Davis. And Julian, glad to have you here with us on this segment.
Great to be on the show, and also it's always great to talk about the amazing county that we live in.
You were telling me earlier before we started this interview that there is some amazing things happening with the 2023 fiscal year coming up with the Oconee County millage. And for everyone that's tuned in, I think they're excited to hear what you've just told me. So I'm going to let you have the floor.
Yeah, so we had our millage workshop. It was on your Oconee, which is on YouTube, so check that out. That's all the true information that comes out of there, word for word, what everybody says on there. So we had our millage workshop led by Christy Hubbard, our great auditor, and we had Kevin Robinson, who is our assessor, to come and talk about the assessment that just came forth, and that was delayed 1 year because of COVID. And there was a lot of misinformation that had came out in the last couple of months about what this assessment was, when it was taken, and everything like that. So the assessment date was December of 2020. Mm-hmm. So, and in that meeting, I said something that the great thing about using a median date, when I say median date, it's not a high and it's not a low, it's an average date of sale for Oconee County. So within regards to that, we use December 2020 date. So, because you don't want a high date, because
right.
Guess what? When you have another reassessment, you get a low. So the median date has always helps from a budgeting process. It's kind of like, you keeping your checks and balances in your own checking account. You kind of know what you make. If you could make a little extra,
mm-hmm.
You know how to save that. So it's a great thing that we have this, and so I did speak very highly of that. Even though we were delayed 1 year, using that date was a great time to do that. So as Mr. Robinson was talking about that date, he just wanted people to be aware that it does not involve this, I guess, the high volatile prices that we're at now. Now, if you sold your home, that's where that assessment comes in there. So that's a totally different thing. It has to be sold to a different
right.
individual. So
right.
Very, very common use. It's not rocket science that we do something different than any other county. Every county uses
mm-hmm.
pretty much the same style that we do. But they've been hard at work on this and making sure that we're giving fair assessments to everyone. And, I always tell people, you can go OconeeSC.com and check out how your house is assessed, because for example, most assessments are lower than what they would actually sell for. So we're not after, hey, if your house sells for if you think your house will sell for $375,000, however your assessment shows only $170,000, that
right.
your house is only valued at $170,000. That's a benefit to you as the citizen, that your house is assessed fairly in our
because if they were actually assessed at the $300,000 level, we're talking more taxes.
That person would pay more taxes. So if that person sold their house, then the next person would be assessed on whatever that sales price is. But for those like me that's been in my house for 17, 18 years, my assessment is based on those properties
mm-hmm.
that around me are sale with a maximum increase of 15%. And I've never seen that in my house. I hope my house continues to rise in cost, but that's also, as we continue to move on with this interview, we talk about millage.
Mm-hmm.
When I was getting on council, you hear the word mill and you think about million. You think about $1 million. It's very difficult to hear the word millage, and that's how our taxes are based on there. So, and each individual is taxed based on the millage set forth by council. So the auditor comes up and talks about this, and she presents a millage and a recommendation based on what the funding opportunity and the budget that we have approved. So, and again, it's council's decision on what we decide to do. We can hold the millage, raise the millage, lower the millage, or she just is she is the one that sets that millage based on what council says.
Right.
So, just to that was just a little quick education on how this works. So, setting forth the whole idea of growing the millage rate is to lower taxes to the citizens,
To the people.
and by doing that, creating a diverse economy with industry, Duke Power, Borg Warner, Square D. We got the new coming on. We have student housing that's came on there. The whole goal of adding any of that stuff is to lower taxes to you and me in our home and our cars. And so about 5 years ago, we really began trying to come up with a plan to look at the things that this county needed. School resource officers. We had a lot of vehicle issues that we had staring us in the face. A lot of problems that this council was trying to address. I always say that kick the can down the road, and our can was smashed. So we're trying to come up with the ways to provide a proper taxation without an overburden to our citizens.
Right.
And so, as we all know, and as citizens know, we did have some tax increases in there throughout this. School resource officers, we were that was a 2 mil tax increase, and we were the first county in this state to provide school resource officers in every single school. So we were followed by a lot of other counties in there. So, and that was a very small tax increase for such a amazing protection, and not only a mentorship to our kids, and seeing the school resource officer. So I stand by that tax increase, and I'll be glad. Like I said, I'm staying that right here. I did that tax increase for school resource officers, and I stand by that all day long. Then we had an additional one about a couple of years later that was designated for getting our parks in works. And as you've seen, a lot of things happen in South Cove, High Falls, and we've got Seneca Creek. We've got a lot of different things going on because that provides recreation opportunities for us, for our citizens, on a daily basis. And it's a very, very cost-effective way of providing great entertainment, safe entertainment for you and your families.
But it does provide a little bit of revenue income, too. Being able to rent the rec buildings for both High Falls and South Cove and Chaw Ram. So, including the camping, there's been some upgrades in some of the parks, too, as far as camping as well.
The building at Chaw Ram is a perfect example, providing bathrooms, additional campsites, and things like that. And I had so many, encouraging calls as they have seen that come up, because nobody sits out here and says we're going to have a tax increase and I'm excited about it. That's not the goal of anything that we're doing on there. But with that in mind, when we go through, and we were going through that year, we're looking down the road at what 22 and 23 and 24 we're holding. And as you noticed last year in the budget, we had a tax decrease, a millage decrease that was provided in there, and I think it was around 2 mills. So, we're headed in the right direction because taxation's coming in other forms that we're seeing on here with industry, school, and some of the student housing that we have going on.
And we got folks to understand that there is a little bit of difference between the industry and versus your personal property taxes.
Correct.
There's a huge difference. So when you're saying maybe an increase, but we're talking on the industrial side, the commercial stuff versus the personal, we're seeing a mix here.
Right, and that's the whole thing that, Oconee County is very blessed to be diverse in where our taxes come from. So the amount of commercial development, my investment in my building here provides additional taxation moving forward to there, and that's lower taxation to the citizens and additional services. And so when we make these plans and we're going through this process of budgeting, we're looking out 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years to see the future, so we don't get into an issue. And when I got on council, there was an issue of how we're going to fund this, because there was constant use of fund balance, or we had $500,000 left over and we're going to add that into next year to help fund that. And then at the end of the day, our fund balance was dying. And fund balance is a savings for issues that we may hope that don't arise. But
Let's
it's
say
a
the county
savings
had an
opportunity.
emergency situation. For example, a tornado came through and wiped out Wahala.
Right.
Those are some of the funds that would be used to continue operating county government for a certain set time. It's not a free account.
Correct.
There's not free money, but it's also a nest egg if something happens within the Oconee County government system that government can continue to function.
That's correct. And so the goal of that is we've also been able to add money back in to that fund balance that had been taking out. $6 million of it was taken out for the fiber project, which we're still working on. That's going to be a whole nother segment as we move forward. So we don't have 3 hours
Right.
today, but it's headed in the right direction. There's a lot of things that still need to go on that, but that was part of what that fund balance was used for before I was on council. So, but to get back to what we're kind of talking today, as we have budgeted and as we have set the budget that was put into place for this upcoming year, the recommended millage came in during the presentation, and it actually, because of the growth of the mill, the recommendation based on our budget was a decrease to our citizens of 3 mills on the county operations, a decrease of 4 mills in school operations, and a decrease of 1 mill for school bonds. So the total recommended millage decrease to the citizens is somewhere around 8 mills.
Wouldn't that be one of the lowest or drop in millage in county history?
That would be, based on the information that I have, one of the largest drops in millage to our citizens.
And that
so,
still gives us the opportunity to hold the line and not, far as funds, things would still be funding at a normal level without having to drop or cut anything.
That is correct. That is no cuts. That is raises to our police officers, raises to our firemen, raises to our county employees. It's still funding economic development. It's not a change in any of that stuff. This is exactly what this council has continued to work towards till we get to this day. And we saw this last year. We knew last year's decrease was coming, which was great. We felt like there was going to be an adequate decrease this year.
Right.
We were thinking 2, and it's right at 3 mills. So it's just one of those things that you as council continue to try to look at. And it's hard to explain that to everybody that, when we do stuff, we are thinking about the future. There's a lot of people, or a few people say that
Right.
we're very closed-minded and nearsighted, but this is a difficult position to be in, because you're trying to literally look and study and go through all this stuff.
You're
to
trying
make
to
sure
base
that you're
something that's happening now, what could be happening in the future.
right.
Because at some point within the next 20 to 25 years, Oconee has a huge issue it's going to be facing, and that's going to be concerning Duke Power.
Right.
With the nuclear reactors and the relicensing.
Right. So let's talk about loss of tax revenue. We got a perfect example this year. So the House and the Senate passed to where farm buildings are no longer taxed, which is great for farmers. It's great for especially District 4 and all across the state, because we're trying to work on ways to encouraging farmer. I'm my kids are involved, and I'm trying to encourage my son to grow up in it and figure out a way to try to make a living.
And
So
District 4 is a huge area from Oakway to Westminster.
It is.
That is the rural area of Oconee County.
And there's a lot of Salem's a huge farming area out through there as well. So one of the Kevin Robinson, our assessor, brought up the exempt farm buildings on there. So there was over 5,000 buildings that were originally noted in this, with a total of $1 million of taxable value. We do feel like there is some additional ones out there that we're still going through. So this resulted in a loss of tax revenue to the county of over $300,000. So, but what did I just say? We're actually decreasing.
It's still decreasing, even
the
though you
millage.
took a
So-
loss of $300,000. You're still reducing the millage.
So we knew about 3 years ago that there was a possibility of farm buildings not being taxed, and we were all in support of it. And,
Oh, absolutely.
Mr. Kane serves on the Association of Counties board, and I'm a part of that organization, as our county is. And so we were in support of that as the Association of Counties moving forward. But this does hurt some counties. But we try to prepare in Oconee County for loss of revenues, and this was one of them that we felt like was coming in, and we thought it was going to be around the 500,000 range. But with this, with our preparation that we did several years ago, this loss of revenue is not going to become a burden to those that don't own agricultural buildings. This loss of revenue is just one of those things that we were conservative enough about early on to not worry about taking this hit. And unfortunately, some other counties are going to have to find a way to grab this revenue back. Oconee County is not one of those, which is great moving forward. So at the end of the day, people are asking, well, what is this millage? How does it work? And Christy Hubbard did a great job. And I'm going to pass this to you. It is on our website as well, but it talks about what that millage looked like. So let's talk about cars, for example. And she brought up a $25,000 car in there. As it was taxed in 21 versus 22 is a savings of $12.15. A $50,000 car, savings of $24.30. So, non-residential homes.
That'd be like someone that
6%.
actually owned a second home in Oconee County, or do they live outside Oconee County?
Well, it would be they don't reside in that there. Like and that would also include. If a second home or something.
If I owned, let's say I live in Seneca, but I owned a cabin or some home in Mountain Rest.
Correct. Okay. Yep. So savings on a $250,000 home would be over $120. A residential home with no homestead exemption, less than 65 years old, savings on a $250,000 house would be about $44. And a homestead exemption home would be about a little bit over $40 savings on that. So, when you talk about increases in there, the whole goal of any of this, even in increasing that, if your home did increase in value, the actual taxes that you pay is actually going to be less than what you would have paid based on the millage that we had here as well. So, again, the whole goal is to continue to see values increase in Oconee County, but taxes stay the same or go down.
Yeah.
And so that's what we continue to try to work forward to. And I know out there's a lot of sometimes news that doesn't have this, but this is black and white information. This is stuff that's not something I created. It's not something you created. It's factual documentation that's created from our auditor's offices with our assessor, and they spent a lot of time on this. So I really appreciate that staff for what they did. And again, I think we'll have it uploaded here because this is these are public documents, and this is helpful as you go moving forward to exactly what you're paying for, how you're paying for, how am I being taxed. One other thing I want to touch on is the appeal process that they've continually made so much easier over the last several years, to where if you feel like your home is valued high or low, or like on mine, one time we had a building that was on our property that was actually my neighbor's building, because we do all of this stuff from in the air, so sometimes this happens. And it was just a quick go in there, show them where my property line was. Building was my neighbor's building, and it was over, and off, no issue whatsoever. So if you feel like you have an issue with your assessment, Kevin Robinson is and his staff do a phenomenal job of taking through the process and making it really, really easy for you. So we have a great staff. It's one of those things that I think I continue to push for raises for that staff because of how hard they work and what they do for this county, and that's really the most important part. I mean, we're all just it's just like my agency. I'm one person. My staff is the most important part of my agency as they service my customers, and that's the same thing with that. We are trying to get better at servicing things like this. This is a growing county. It's a huge county. we're growing. Not only are we growing in the retirement world, we're starting to grow in the workforce, and that's the things that we continue to talk about moving forward. And this council is really focusing on how do we grow, not just in retirement but also in workforce as well. So
it's also important too, Julian, to be able to get this information to the citizens instead of hearing it secondhand, that they can actually see it for themselves. And this is a really good start, and we will have it up for folks to be able to see. This is a really good start. I would recommend folks to check out Your Oconee, the website, to follow along all of these documents here that Julian have. A lot of this is available online. Council minutes when you have your agenda set. You can also watch council meetings. Become involved in the process. That way you're informed and you know for yourself of what's going on and where we're heading. To hear my 8.1 reduce in millage is a wonderful thing. But I give you credit too that there was an issue that happened in the previous budget cycle, which we're talking about fuel. You guys, when you set the budget last year, you set it on a high level because you kind of anticipated that the fuel cost was going to go up. Had you not have done that, we would be paying for a lot more in fuel. So hats off, at least to get that good information out. People can see and be involved in the process. I'm impressed with what I've seen here.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole way that our staff goes at it is involvement. And I say this because when I got on council, before I got on council, the only way that you were able to have is to go online and pull up minutes, and sometimes those minutes didn't come up and they were in the backup material and hidden in there. So from the actual camera in the sky, the eyes in the sky that don't lie, the audio recording has continually gotten better with our new system that we have in there, that we've created an opportunity for everyone that wants to be involved that can't drive up there or and I have a lot of people that watch that can't drive anymore, but they were involved once upon a time in this county, and they enjoy sitting at home and watching it sometimes for the fireworks that go on, but that's all part of that's all part of government, isn't it? And but it's one of those things that from the planning commission and all that stuff, all of this stuff is online to watch to your heart's content at any time that you want to. It's live when the meeting starts at 6. It's on there. It's live, and it takes probably about an hour or two after the meeting's over to recycle. That's the world of YouTube that we're into. So it's those things that we're trying to do things to make it easier, because I'll never forget me having to take a CD up to there to get it burned, and then I had to go back and pick it up the next day. And I don't know a lot of people that want to go do that, and it's like, how can I learn what's going on in the county?
That's right.
Simpler, and that was one of the first that we did, is put that in place to where you can listen, and sometimes that's the best place to go for the truth. If you got a question, or you see somebody post something on Facebook, or you see something on the media side of things, and you want to learn more information about it, check that out. Click on that date, put that date in on Your Oconee, which is, like I said, I'm very pleased with how that has turned out. That was all council was in favor of that. I have gotten no negativity from council over the years from that, and there's some exciting meetings on there with a lot of interesting things.
A lot.
But at the end of the day, that is the truth.
That is truth.
And if you really want to hear what a council person says of why they voted yes or why they voted no on some of these subjects, to go on there and actually listen to what that person says. Sometimes it's not about a no vote. Sometimes it's not just about a yes vote.
And sometimes you're getting the wrong information if you listen to the wrong people.
Right. And I think, with anything, everybody is entitled to their opinion. And you have to be cautious at times, because you have your opinion and sometimes I disagree with it.
That's right.
And that's okay. And that is your right to do so. And that's what I always say. The world of Facebook is opinions. And that's okay. There is some truth to it. But at the same time, these numbers,
they don't lie.
And the
it's
stuff that we're doing and the stuff that is coming across through there doesn't lie. Results don't lie. I mean, the people are the ones sometimes that fabricate those things. So that's what my challenge is with everybody. If you're questioning what we're doing or where we're headed to,
Ask.
hop on there,
Find.
look at what's going on there. I believe our administrator, Amanda Brock, is the people's administrator, you know, going back in the wrestling day, you know, and she does such a phenomenal job at meeting and answering questions and spending the time that is needed with that. And
A lot of these can be cleared up with just a simple question that you can ask and clear everything up.
And our auditor and our assessor, I mean, we are available to meet with people, you know, and you know as well as the amount of people that I meet with on a weekly basis to answer questions and sometimes to put out fires and sometimes to stop some of the myths that are going on out there.
I know.
You know, we're trying everything we can do to build the best county, because honestly, it is the best county.
It is
I'm not
the
trying
best.
to build the best county. It is the best
It is.
county.
In the last 5 years, we've taken a more active approach of moving things forward compared to where we once were. I have been pleased with this current council that has really rolled up their sleeve. They had to make some tough decisions when it wasn't the most popular decision, but by making those tough decisions, we're seeing some of the benefits now. I think Oconee is set for anything that can happen on the national level. I think we're well prepared to be able to ride something out if we were to go into a slump. So these numbers don't lie. Just get your facts, folks. And that's one of the reasons why this show is bringing you to get you those facts, because there's a lot of myth, there's a lot of misconception, and that's one of the things that we want to go straight to the horse's mouth, so to speak. Julian, we are out of time on this segment, but I do look forward to you coming back with us at least once a month where we can highlight a topic and talk about things that are happening. I know we're getting close to the end of the year. We've got 2023 coming up, but I do appreciate you taking the time to talk with us.
Glad to be here, and like I said, Oconee County is an amazing place, and I'm grateful to be elected District 4 and spend a lot of time doing this job, and am very blessed to do so. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Absolutely. All right, there's more coming up here on Let's Talk SC. Let's Talk Oconee SC. That's our website. Julian Davis, County Councilman from District 4, and we will be back on the other side.